Okay, we're going to call back to order here. Back to our agenda here, City of New Brunswick Planning Board here in City Council Chambers, New Brunswick City Hall, January 8th, 2024. The first item on public hearings is a continuation of the New Street Associates LLC, 40 Livingston Avenue. The LIV 40 Livingston Avenue, Block 129, lots 3.01 and 3.02, PB-2023-02. My understanding is we are going to move in a moment to public comment for this application. But I would like to ask, I know we have the applicant's attorney, the objector's attorney. Before we begin, Mr. Stahl, I believe, right?
Yep.
Would you like to give a summation prior to public comment or after public comment?
Well, here's my recommendation, only a suggestion. You're the boss. I believe that what should happen, if there are any questions of the board with regard to any of the professionals that I brought, they're here and available. Some are replacements because COVID just decimated my crew, so to speak. So that would be the first if there are any questions. If there are not, the hearing has been closed, and then the next step that we had agreed upon was that the public would have an opportunity to speak and to voice their objections or their affirmation. When they're done, I assume that Mr. MacArthur, as the objector's attorney, would then, if he wants to sum up, and then I would close. I will tell you that I do not usually spend much time on summations. That's not what I do. I respect the board over the last 4 to 6 weeks has a good recollection of what happened. So I will guarantee you, whatever, and not criticizing Mr. MacArthur, whatever time he spends, I will guarantee you I will be at least half, if not more than half, because I just have a few bullet points that I would bring, maybe 5 or 10 minutes. I'm not going to waste your time or my breath. That's my suggestion.
You might be surprised, Mr. Stahl.
Mr. MacArthur, does that align with your expectations
Yes,
for
it
the
does.
process?
Yes.
So you will provide a summation
I am.
following public commentary?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been professional and the courtesies have been exchanged. Notwithstanding, there has been some disagreement, but that's life.
That's the profession.
That is life, sir. No, just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page.
Yes.
All right, so before we move to public comment, the question is, do the board members or board professionals have any questions? Then I'll move to
But keep the confidence.
Well, I'm going to move to that next. He asked for that first. I said, anything? All right, seeing none, we do have a couple folks that are going to recuse off of this application.
Should I just to confirm, so if there's no questions, the hearing remains done, closed. It's not going to be reopened, it's done, and then we move on to the next after any recusals.
Yes, sir. I would recommend that your professionals
So they're here.
stand by in case the public have a question that you'd like to refer them to, but the hearing is closed. All right, so we do have a few recusals. Mr. Blackwell, Mr. Spellatella, myself. So I'm going to ask Mr. Kartika to take over this portion of the hearing. I'll step away and then come back for the following amendments. So the three of us will step away for this and we'll continue to the public portion in just a moment. Just give us a few moments to shuffle our chairs and Mr. Kartika, you can take over. Thank you very much.
I think I can stay here.
Sure, whatever you prefer.
Yes.
Go Michigan.
temporarily here. So I guess we can continue. Again, just to recap, this is the third meeting on this application, the first of which unfortunately didn't count due to the fact that we did not have a proper quorum for that meeting. My apologies for any time that was wasted as a result of that. Second meeting, we had all of the testimony, and now we're proceeding on public comments. Before we start, my understanding is that board members were provided with a transcript. Board members who were not present for the last meeting were provided with a transcript.
Or a recording, yes.
For recording, and it is a requirement that you sign an affidavit that you have read that transcript or listened to the recording.
If you were not present at the December meeting.
Right, and in order to be able to vote on this application, who needs to do that? Everyone else is all set? Okay, so while you're doing that, I guess we can proceed on to public comment. Who wants to speak? You raise your hand if you intend to present. Again, this is specific to this application. This is not general comments. Dan, how do you want to proceed?
You can just call them up and I'll swear them in and we'll give them 5 minutes and then
Okay, so I guess I'll pick you out. Let's start with the woman with the rainbow hair. Oh yes, again.
The microphone's like right here, that's that little disc thing. So if you could just...
So I should stand here?
Thereabouts, yes, that would be best.
And let me also remind folks that, we are adhering to our 5-minute limit per person.
First, I've got to swear you in. So if you could please state your name, spell your last name for the record.
Elizabeth Ciccone, C-I-C-C-O-N-E.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
You may begin.
Good evening. I'm Elizabeth Ciccone. My husband and I own the William H. Johnson House at 52 Welton Street in Brunswick, a National Register of Historic Places listed home just a couple of blocks from the Elks Hall. Like many people, I have fond memories of attending events at the Elks Hall, including that our wedding reception was held there. In addition to the sentimental feelings I have, I recognize that it is our civic duty to save this building for posterity due to its importance to our community. For that reason, I'm the one who applied for and obtained the listing for the building on the 2010 10 Most Endangered Buildings in New Jersey list that's sponsored by the nonprofit organization Preservation New Jersey. I'm also the one who applied for and obtained a certification of eligibility letter for the building so that it can be included in the National Register list of Livingston Avenue Historic District. I had hoped these actions would convince the Elks to save the building. I'm further hoping that this public outcry will make the Elks understand how important their building is to our feelings of community. Because I know that the Elks are founded upon community service, I hope we can convince them that saving this building will be a service to the community. While I'm in favor of restoring the building and setting it up for adaptive reuse, I understand that would prove difficult due to various concerns with the building's infrastructure. Therefore, I'm proposing the preservation of the building's brick and cement facade, with that facade being attached to the new construction. This will preserve our historic streetscape. I would also propose that any new construction be designed to mesh smoothly with the current facade, meaning that it should also be designed in similar brick and mortar. Without a doubt, the Elks sculpture by Lord Garden Fraser must be preserved along with its base, which should be properly restored. It is within the purview of this board to make the approvals for this construction contingent upon these preservation measures. It is incumbent upon the developer, not the city or the Elks, to incur costs associated with these requirements. I implore the members of this board and the Elks to include these terms for historic preservation related to the new construction on this site. Beyond my discussion of the Elks Hall itself, I've reviewed the application documents that are attached to the city's website. While I see some statements related to environmental impact, none of those documents seem to include a Section 106 review for impact to the historic Henry Guest House and to the equally historic Willow Grove Cemetery, both of which will be towered over by this proposed construction. In the short term, at a minimum, during construction, the developer should be required to install vibration monitoring to ensure minimal effects from the use of heavy machinery. Further, protective fencing should be required in order to minimize damage from the potential of falling construction This should be required at the expense of the developer for the guest house and the Willow Grove Cemetery iron fencing, which is part of its National Register listing. In the long term, these historic properties will be greatly impacted by the additional traffic congestion along Morris Street, particularly traffic exhaust, which is quite damaging. Sight lines and streetscape impacts require amelioration and approval by the State of New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, Historic Preservation Office. Thus far, the applicants have not contacted the Historic Preservation Office regarding the proposed construction's impact on the Livingston Avenue Historic District. This planning board can require a Section 106 review for impact upon these historic assets. I hope you will require the developers to prove they've satisfied this requirement before they are allowed to move forward with any plans. When this board met on 12/11/23 during the public comments section, I asked the members of the board whether the current developer, particularly the professionals who perform parking and traffic studies, had been informed about the upcoming construction slated for the corner of George Street and Tabernacle Way. I was told that developers for the project had not been informed. I must say that proves that the plans this developer is presenting are inaccurate and incomplete related to parking and traffic numbers. While I appreciate that this is not the fault of the developer, they must still be held accountable for the impact that their construction will have when coupled with an additional construction project only one cross street away. If it's anyone's fault, it is that of the city planner, Mr. Dominguez, who is a paid City of New Brunswick employee. Apparently, he and his cadre of paid consultants were somehow unable to actually plan anything and failed to report the other construction project to this board. He should be held responsible for not alerting this developer that they needed to include figures for any nearby construction that has already been approved. In this case, he failed to report upon a nearby 4-story apartment building. This caused the current project to be incorrect in the estimates of parking and traffic numbers, which means he's caused delays to the developer and misrepresented information to us city residents. Since that failure has occurred, unfortunately the plans being presented cannot be considered accurate and thus should be voted down by this board. Of course, with the caveat that new and correct plans could be presented for public review and comment at some future date. I hope that informing the board of this issue will make clear that these plans are not suitable for approval. I hope that if you do approve any of these plans today, that you will include some of these contingencies and caveats for the developer at their cost. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a question, just to be clear, the Elks is not supportive of including the facade as part of this project, is that correct? I'm just asking a general question.
As far as I'm aware,
that's my understanding.
As far as I'm aware, based on the fact, based on the architectural plans presented up till now, it does not appear that the front facade will be saved.
Well, I know that, but I'm just asking in terms of the Elks. The Elks doesn't support the incorporation?
I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Can you please state your name, spell your last name for the record?
Danielle Moore, M-O-O-R-E.
You swear from the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
You may begin.
Hi, yes, my name is Danielle Moore. I'm born and raised in New Brunswick, 47 years. I'm the young lady who fought for Livingston Avenue, getting approved for $6.6 million to try to slow down with the safety issues. One thing I will say, you brought up attention, this is the third time we're here, and I'm telling you, wow, that's a sign of the Lord telling you all, it is not meant for you to make a decision on this. Normally it goes through one meeting only, not maybe 3, and I tell you, you vote yes on this, I'm not happy with you, and neither will the Lord be happy with you. And it's time that you start getting punished for what you're doing, because you're not helping New Brunswick. Like I told you before after everyone left, you're destroying New Brunswick. How, wow, you think of a beautiful big school. Oh, beautiful school on Jersey Avenue, beautiful school. Wow, now we're to do 2 dead bodies over there by a school. So just because something is beautiful is not making New Brunswick better. Beauty is not taking away the crime. motor vehicle crashes. Like I said, you're destroying New Brunswick. And like I said, I'm disappointed with all of you. Stop thinking about money, 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 because money's not everything. What, I received over $400,000. What, for my back pain? Did it help me? No. But I tell you, staying on top of all of you, wow, what a relief. Thank you. But like I said, it's not meant for you to do this, and I'm going to go to, I don't know the gentleman's name, but as one thing due to where with parking, he said it's free. Parking is no longer free on Sunday, so it's going to create a big issue due to where with parking in the area of the library and all. Please do look that up. And then another thing one of them said due to where, wow, when the lawyer was asking him, wow, did you plan on making any extra space for cars to park? Due to where he said, no, there's no need to make any extra space. Well, excuse me, the same thing with what? We don't need any extra space. How many buildings do you still have signs up saying for lease? For lease, how many more projects do you still have to come in? What, Sears, Jersey Avenue? What, you're still doing Sanford and Lee Avenue? What, another one on French Street? Enough is enough. You were all heard that what? Our school we can't take anymore. And then due to where, wow, we're starting to get a lot of new faces in New Brunswick. Come on, enough is enough. Due to where what the excuses with the police department saying, oh, we can't control everything. Wow, honestly, last week it took 40 minutes for my mother for an ambulance due to where with COVID, RSV going around, what, they can't even keep up where you tell the lie, ooh, only 50,000 residents in New Brunswick? Enough is enough. Please, like I said, money is not everything, but I tell you, like I said, you better start doing the right thing because, like I said, the Lord is not happy with any of you due to where, wow, just like you expanding a bar on French Street, then knock down two housing, due to where what? It's creating more crime already. Please tell me, what project have you really done out of the past year or so that's making progress with no complaints to it? Well, you just had to bring back another project from Livingston Avenue, oh, with parking issue, saying, oh, you don't have enough space in the park. Then what, to say another building, oh, nobody can't rent this building with a car. Do you really think that we're going to believe that everything that you keep saying is, what, true? No, and then it turns back around, you got to have a solution. Like I said before, you wouldn't take something for your stomach that would create you to have, a stroke, a heart attack, or whatever. Look at the side effects of what you're causing. Too much traffic, too much people. New Brunswick is overpopulated already. And like I said, wow, we have a lot of newcomers. Think about what? Code Blue. The Elks and the city and the county can rent the top of that building out for Code Blue due to where I just finished working with the man, almost freezing to death. Due to where, come on, only 29 spaces in the community center? Come on, how many more people we have homeless? What, the city just got over $342,000 to help with addiction. What, you can rent the building from the Elks last year to help. So I wish they stop making their excuse, oh, we can't maintain our building. What, the city and the county helping the parking authority? Why can't the city and the county help our residents and put certain things in their building? It's not necessary to knock down the Elks Lodge. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moore.
Can you please state your name, spell your last name for the record?
I'm Elizabeth Benora,
Can you spell your last name for the record?
B-O-N-U-R-A.
You swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may begin.
My name is Elizabeth Benora.
Sorry, just turn a little bit so we can just not see that.
My name is Elizabeth Benora, and I am secretary for the New Brunswick Elks, number 324. Our membership voted for the sales agreement between New Brunswick Elks 324 and the developer Robert Weiss. It was approved by the Grand Lodge in Chicago and was signed by my sister Carol Benora, who was exalted ruler 8 years ago, and also signed by myself as secretary of the lodge. Unfortunately, my sister passed away on August 11, 2023, and she would be standing up here today in support of this new endeavor. Our present building is in disrepair and would take substantial amount of money to remedy. That's why we put the building up for sale. Our lodge is very community-orientated. We hold numerous benefits for the poor, special children's needs, veterans, and homeless. This lodge is the most diversified membership. This new facility that will be built by Mr. Weiss would enable the New Brunswick Elks 324 better serve the community. Also, the traffic flow on Morris Street will not be interfered as long as illegal parking in front of the church and the no parking signs on the left side of the street. And hopefully law enforcement will correct the present situation. I support this development and I feel this would be beneficial to not only our lodge, but to the city of New Brunswick as a whole. Please approve Weiss Development's plans. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Can you please state your name, spell your last name for the record?
Andrew Farkas, F-A-R-K-A-S.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may begin.
I'm a lifelong city resident and I've lived at 278 George Street at the corner of Morris for the last 45 years. I was for over 30 years a New Jersey State Licensed Building and Fire Inspector and now retired and continue as president of the New Brunswick Historical Club, founded in 1870. Good evening, members of the City Planning Board, engineering planners, attorneys, and Elks. I will start by saying that I have in the past appeared before this body to commend the approval of another adjacent development. Unfortunately, I am not of the same mind with this live development proposal. I am against any variance being sought by the developer for proposed on-street loading zones on Morris Street. The width of this narrow one-way street should not be further reduced or curtailed in any way. Morris Street is problematic right now. In the past, our City Planning Board made mistakes when it approved the Rockoff Hall, or SOCAM building as it's referred to now. By not addressing problems of loading and unloading at this gigantic dormitory building, and by not addressing the tremendous amounts of trash and garbage generated by that building, and by overlooking issues concerning heavy snow removal. Here are some examples. Both day and night, there are tractor trailers unloading goods at the 24-hour 7-Eleven business located within the SOCAM building. These trucks park on Morris Street and in the right-of-way. They create a hazard and stop traffic flow on Morris Street. Garbage dumpsters are rolled out every afternoon into the lane of travel on Morris Street from the SOCAM building for pickup the following morning. This is not only an ongoing road hazard, but because of the wind shear created by this tall structure, garbage and litter from the dumpsters are blown all over Morris Street, George Street, and the historic Willow Grove Cemetery. Egress from the parking deck in the SOCAM building is severely curtailed and even dangerous on weekend nights and all day Sunday because of church attendance at mid-block and on Morris Street. Snow removal has also become an issue on Morris Street. When the forecast calls for heavy snowfalls, George Street residents are required to move their vehicles from the street. And yes, there are parking decks that provide 24-hour free parking, but they have to move their cars. Many drivers not wishing to move their cars park them on Morris Street, thereby creating absolute chaos with snow removal. For the past 2 years, a nightclub has been allowed to operate at 55 Morris Street under the guise of being an art gallery, which maintains hours on Friday and Saturday nights only. Because attendees are invited via social media, oftentimes hundreds of young people show up. They double park, illegally park their cars along Morris Street, from the corner of Livingston Avenue down to the corner of George Street, as well as the opposite side of the street where no parking is permitted at all. And at times blocking vehicular access on Morris Street altogether. At a recent Saturday night gallery gathering, quote, quote, I was woken by gunshots fired there a few minutes past midnight. Two cars and the Albish building were damaged. The city's Detective Bureau has not made public their findings, nor has the so-called art gallery been closed down. What I'm about to say next is most important for the planning board to acknowledge and consider. Please be attentive. In May and September, the New Brunswick Engineering Department issues the SOCAM building month-long permits to place large roll-off dumpsters in the right-of-way on Morris Street to accommodate the huge amount of trash generated by residents moving in and out. This creates traffic backups on Morris Street and additional litter and trash along the sidewalks and street. I know this because the driveway access to my property is located on Morris Street. Even on good days when the driveway is not blocked by tradesmen's trucks or inconsiderate car parking 7-Eleven attendees, I must still navigate with great trepidation. In addition, I'm constantly having to pick up litter and debris from the aforementioned garbage dumpsters, soiling my property. I live with these hardships daily because of past mistakes made by the city planning board. I vehemently oppose any on-street loading zone variances and urge our esteemed city planning board members to reject them. I see no reason why any part of Morris Street should become curtilage to the Live building. Morris Street belongs to the citizens of New Brunswick. The street is for their use and not the developer. Finally, I wish to acknowledge all the good works that the New Brunswick chapter of Elks has bestowed on our citizens over the many years. At the November Planning Board meeting, there was a great turnout of their members. With much self-adulation and back-patting ad nauseum, the Elks members were here to promote the Planning Board's approval of the Live building, which I find to be astonishingly self-serving. Just because the proposed building offers to house a new private bar room for their use does not give that group the right to testify. Elks members do not live in the area of the proposed construction and have a vested interest. In the city of New Brunswick, now so depleted of its historic fabric, I find it shameful that the Elks allowed their landmark structure to go to ruin. You deserve what you get. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please.
My name's William Jenkins,
Please spell your last name.
Jenkins.
You swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
The
Floor is yours.
My name's William Jenkins, trustee chairman of Brunswick Elks Lodge. Been there 38 years.
Did I?
Just turn this way, just so I could hear you.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
I'm not sure from this. Good evening, everyone. I'm speaking on behalf of New Brunswick Elks Lodge 324, longtime member of this great benevolent institution. I'd like to address the fact that we never wanted to sell this building. It's the address and the fact that we wanted this in the first place. We exhausted every possible avenue through the charities, city officials, banks, nonprofits, to no avail, which brought us as its only last resort to sell the property. The building to keep up the great things this organization has been doing since its inception. I personally worked tirelessly on this building with many members through the years to keep this 100-year-old building standing. Hardly with the money it needs to keep it afloat. And I mean that literally, because of the leaks, floods, the backups from the sewers. Same thing from time to time again to keep us pretty busy with cleaning and keeping us from doing our charitable work. As a non-charitable organization, we depend mostly on fundraisers, not for the building, but for the charities. So it's very little membership to keep this place fixed and to be maintained. We come to these meetings because, like I said, and we're at wit's end. I'm so sorry that so many people oppose the survival of us in strenuous time. But we hope that the board will see that we are against what we're up against, and please put our nightmare to bed, or rest, or the end, and grant Weiss Associates the fulfillment to hope the beginning, and to continue to work and the hopes for tomorrow and the Elks' future. And God bless the job you guys do here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yep.
Can you please state your name, spell your last name for the record?
Leonard Jenkins,
Jenkins.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Floor is yours.
As an Elk member, I'd first like to thank the planning board for giving us an opportunity to voice our thoughts in this public forum. We certainly are grateful that we have a means, hopefully soon, to continue our base of operations in brand new facilities if approved by this planning board. I believe the Elks are an essential part of our society since, as a community organization, we promote what it means to be an American, one who serves and helps other members of our society. The Elks exist to promote and practice the four cardinal virtues of charity, justice, brotherly love, and fidelity. These virtues are important in helping to establish a healthy and secure society. By becoming a member, you get to participate in this endeavor firsthand. Within the past year, I have helped in our basketball hoop shoot and baseball programs, which I found very rewarding for myself and especially for the New Brunswick children. Probably the program that I most enjoyed was helping to read close to 100 essays from local grammar school children to rate them for first, second, and third places from grades 5th through 8th. The topic they were asked to write on was, "What is my American dream?" It was a topic to help remind children that America gives opportunity to achieve your goals and aspirations. We on the committee favored those essays which showed a concern for helping others. No other organization in New Brunswick is doing this. The youth of our country have always been important to the Elks. It is for this reason the Elks Drug Awareness Education Program was launched to warn primary grade students and their parents of the dangers in drug use. I'm sure everyone here knows someone, either family or friend, that's been consumed by this plague. The New Brunswick Elks Lodge, number 324, is not a country club. It is civic-minded. I've worked in the private sector all my life, and what I really appreciate about this organization is that it provides vehicles by which I can interface with the community at large. I've met people from all walks of life within our ranks. There are veterans from all branches of service, school teachers, lawyers, furniture movers, salesmen, and retirees, etc. We learn from each other and encourage one another to keep doing good, to reach out and to give generously. Everyone in this room is welcome to join our lodge. So if you want to continue to make a better New Brunswick, then let's please encourage our planning board to approve the plans for this new structure, which will help the New Brunswick Elks survive here and keep up their good works for the good of all. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Anyone else?
Margaret Hayes, H-A-Y-E-S.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Floor is yours.
So, I am Margaret Hayes. I am the exalted ruler right now for the New Brunswick Elks Lodge. We have been a part of this community for over 128 years, and the building has been in existence for 98. While it has some cool features, it is functionally obsolete at this point, and the many repairs continually drain us little by little. As my previous spokesman, Lenny, just talked about, we do a lot of community-minded events, and our whole purpose is to provide for the community that we are a part of. The new building, I believe, is incredibly beautiful, and I know some people don't think that that's very important, but if you walk down the street, I think our lodge kind of stands out in the current architectural structure of the neighborhood that's being surrounded. So the new building will be just a superstar shining point in there, a destination for our members to come to. It'll be brand new, shiny. We have a new perspective on how to take care of it and preserve it for many, many years to come, and we can continue to operate and continue to support the community that we are part of. Currently, we offer our lodge free of charge to many nonprofits in town, the VFW, PBA, Fire Department, Rotary Club, Rainbows of Hope, Town Clock, all use our facility to hold their meetings monthly there, free of charge. If they want fundraisers, we offer their space to do that as well. We are sending 4 children from New Brunswick High School this year to our Peer Leadership Drug Awareness Program down in Long Branch in February. Fully free is an opportunity for leaders in the school system to go down, learn about drug awareness, and bring it back to their peers and hopefully spread it to people that they relate to in the school. We're also sending 2 middle school children down for the abbreviated program for the middle school children. We also just completed a toy drive that benefited the Roosevelt School, which is our neighbor, and we did a food drive for veterans in the community as well. So we will continue to do all of this good work if we're able to survive and get into our beautiful new building as long as it is approved. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to make comments on this? Come on up.
Salvatore Maliconico, Maliconico.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. Okay, I've been a New Brunswick Elk for 14 years, and as you have heard, we've been in association here in the city for 128 years. We continue to service Dean's Dwelling, Town Clock, local schools. We've made a contribution this year to the middle school of $4,000 worth of games for the children to use during their free time during the course of the day. We also donated to the First Aid Squad. We try to help the community. In order to continue doing that, we need this project approved. If it's not approved, I have no idea what we will end up doing. We just probably couldn't exist. So I plead with you to approve this so we can continue helping the city. We have our veterans we work with. We have our special children, which we send to camp. We have a peer leadership program. We're sending 4 high school kids for a weekend in February down to Long Branch, where they'll have guest speakers, breakout sessions dealing with drugs, bullying, alcohol use, and things of that nature. The Thursday, we have 2 middle school children we're sponsoring to go down there. It's at no cost at all to the families. So we are doing a lot of good. We're just not a club in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Father Raymond Nacarino, Nacarino.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may begin.
I'm the pastor of the Church of Our Lady of Mount Carmel for about 25 years. And as I mentioned in the first meeting, we have about 800 children coming for the catechism classes. And we have one of the concerns I have is the safety of the construction of a building of this magnitude, that safety should be prepared for the children, because if any debris comes down, which already had happened with the other 2 buildings that we had at our site in the church. So something should be put in notice, that whoever does the construction, surely for the safety, no debris, or just provide for these children that we have in there. And we don't want any accidents to happen. And another thing that we have is this concern about the traffic. During construction, please not to close the street. I think that already been assured that will not happen, or if it happens temporarily, because the way that it goes, either for the church services or for the catechism classes, is that the cars come one way, stop, leave the passengers and go. And if you make that street just stop, close it at the George, that could not happen. We cannot turn around. So most of the time, especially, must be in Morris Street one way and keep it that way. So I've been assured that will happen, but I just want to noted that could during construction time. Minimum time, please, to not to close for machinery or whatever they have to develop there. But we have a funeral or we have a wedding. A limousine cannot turn around on Morris Street. There's no space for that. And as I said, it will disrupt greatly for the parents that come in, leave the children and go. It's the only way that we will operate for the past 25 years, and that's the way it is. Last time I also mentioned that maybe the developer will help us out by having a guard. You mentioned a guard on the times that we have CCTV during construction time.
A guard for the purpose of?
The traffic, keeping
traffic.
Because the Morris Street goes, all the cars they really go fast. They go very fast, and sometimes they don't stop for the children. And that will require having someone there to regulate the traffic. So that's something that it could help. I already did some in the past, and last time I have some questions that I answered, so I don't want to repeat myself again. Our masses, 7 masses on Sundays, and as I said, Tuesday through Friday, 1 hour of catechism in the evening, and 4 sessions on Saturday morning. Plus we have weddings and Sweet 16s and Mass on Saturday. So
There was at the last meeting, the traffic engineer came on a weekend and collected a little bit more data. Did that help your concerns over traffic?
over the weekend, I don't think there's more of a problem. Mainly it's in the 5:30. Between 5:30 and 6:30, which all the traffic is.
In the evenings?
In the evenings, yes. In the evenings, on Sundays, it's not that much. On Saturday morning is difficult too. I mean, the neighbors, they know that. Regarding the parking, I believe that someone should mark the left side of Morris Street as no parking. There is no, the yellow band is almost done. Some people, they don't realize, and even the no parking signs, one of them is back down. So it's something that could be done too, just to the lines, to make sure that the yellow line is painted. So even one of the parishioners asked me if we should paint it. I said, no, I don't think it's right. This is the parish. We put cones in front of the church, so people don't park there illegally. But we only can do it in our area of the church. We cannot do the whole street. But there should be signs, and there should be the yellow band painted properly. That's all I can say.
Thanks. I think I assume that a lot of your concerns are addressed with the engineering requirements associated with this project. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, again, keeping the street open during construction, debris that would fall, that could possibly fall off the building, these are all things which are, that's the realm of the engineering requirements associated with the project.
As far as parking, my understanding is there's 3 parking meters that will be eliminated. That's 3, not the whole Morris Street.
Right, that's my recollection too.
During construction either also?
I don't know the answer to that question. I thought that was going to be long-term, 3 parking spaces would be eliminated. That
But what
would
about
help
the
to
rest of the parking?
facilitate the, trucks and other traffic that would be associated with the building.
during construction, they will remain? No.
Oh,
Yes,
the other,
okay.
yes, just 3, as far as I know, only 3 are gonna be removed.
Yeah, the rest of the
Permanent.
street will
Yes.
have the parking meters because people use them in the morning for Sunday, for morning mass.
Right.
And, you know, they're not gonna go to the, I have usually about 20 people coming at the 7 o'clock mass. And they usually park in Morris Street.
Well, I'll also point out that a number of the other things you and others have pointed out here are, they're really parking enforcement issues, you know? If folks shouldn't be parking there, they should get ticketed, you know? That's really, I think the city needs to kind of step up and enhance the,
Well, they
even
have
if it's
to
just
be-
temporary.
The
just
signs, they
set a
have to
signal.
be there. And also, as I said, the yellow border, that makes a difference too.
Could you repeat that, please?
The yellow paint,
Yeah,
painting.
painting the,
But
all right.
because we have been making announcements in the church to the people not to park in the yellow line. But some people ask me, what is the yellow line?
Yeah.
So,
Where is it? Yeah.
so it is, and we manage like 2,500 people coming every Sunday, and they vary. So I apologize for when people say about illegal parking, but you cannot control all the people all the time. I can control probably 70%, but there's always new people coming into the church all the time, new faces.
I think we're over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Please state your name, spell your last name for the record.
Mary Pepe, P-E-P-P-E.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may begin.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for allowing us to speak this evening. I am an Elk. I've been an Elk for about 18 years. I was an exalted ruler in 2012, right before this project was proposed to us as Elks. I have to say it's pretty critical for this to be approved because without the approval, there will be no Elk Lodge. That lodge is not going to survive. Most likely, we would move to another location, perhaps not New Brunswick, or we would merge with another lodge, which would be pretty sad for the city. Because as you've heard, we do a lot for the children and the community. And that's not just this year because we want it to get approved. It's been ongoing since the inception of the Elks. I want to say that the last time I was here, I did speak about my husband being a young child and going to the Elk. His father would bring him because he was born with club feet. There was a doctor there every Saturday that wrapped his feet until they were straight. They were first-generation Italians and could not afford medical care elsewhere. So we're very grateful, and he always said to me, you know what I'd really like to do? Someday I'd like to be able to join the Elks. It's a great organization, and I wish you would come sometime and see what we do, the fundraisers and the things that we do for the community. You've heard some disparaging remarks this evening, and I certainly don't mean to demean anything that anybody said, but I want to point out that after the last meeting on December 11th, I think it was, when we left here and went back to the lodge, there was something going on at the Good Father's Church. There were cars parked up and down Morris Street on both sides. There were a few cars parked in our lot that we know came from the church. There were 15 cars on the left side where there's no parking. And the other cars were parked all the way up to the corner of Morris and Livingston where there were no meters. Our understanding, or my understanding, is they get a free parking pass to park in that garage that's there.
So I don't know why they're parking on the street anyhow. Maybe the father can clarify that for us. In closing, I'd just like to say that I hope that you do realize that the Elks serves a great service here in town, and we hope that you will approve this. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Mr. Bradwell?
My name is Joseph Milestone, M-I-L-E-S-T-O-N-E.
Do you swear from tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may begin.
My name is Joseph Milestone, and I am the trustee of the New Brunswick Elks Lodge. I'd like to tell you what this project means for our lodge, as well as for New Brunswick. Our new facade is symbolic. Our current facade doesn't represent who we are. Right now we have few windows, many of them bricked over. People walking by are intimidated by the Elks, and that's not who we are. We're a community service organization serving New Brunswick for almost 130 years. During that time, there is not a single organization in this city that we have not helped. Schools, the police, fire, EMS, youth activities, shelters, food banks, children with special needs, veterans with disabilities. We not only donate funds to these worthy causes, but we open our community rooms to their needs, not only for their special events, but for routine meetings as well. And we don't charge them a rental fee. It's not just our pleasure, but our purpose. Our new facade is entirely windows. People walking by can see the events going on in our halls. And we want people to see all the good that we do. We want them to be intrigued and walk through our doors and maybe become members. You see, the Elks not only serve New Brunswick, we reflect New Brunswick. Our recruiting efforts have been extraordinarily successful. We have active members of every background. Our membership reflects the makeup of New Brunswick. And this diversity has been a breath of fresh air to the Elks and has brought us even closer and deeper into the fabric of our community. The Elks haven't been stagnant, but our building has been. Our building doesn't reflect who we are, and it doesn't reflect our values, our mission, and our members. We see this project as a catalyst to help even more people become even more involved and continue for at least another 130 years, and likely much longer, to remain a vital contributor to the New Brunswick community. And that's why we're so excited about this project. We ask the planning board to approve our new home. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bradwell?
I think I'll yield to this gentleman for now.
Gene Pepe, P-E-P-P-E.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Floor is yours.
Right, I'm also a member of the Elks. Been around here in New Brunswick for many years. If you go to our lodge, you'll notice that there's a lot of pictures of old New Brunswick and how it used to be. Of course, it's not that way anymore. It's not the same as it was 20 years ago, or even 5 years ago. While we were looking through the pictures there one day, many years ago with my wife, we came upon this one particular picture. We took a picture of it, and I hope you can see it, or I'll pass it around to you.
these are all the children having a great time at one of our events. And my wife said, "Hey, Jane, look at that person right there, it's you." You're right, it is me, right? I was born on Delavan Street, 91 Delavan Street, and in a house there. And I was born crippled and club-footed, as they called it back then. This was 1937. I'll do the math, 86 years ago. And my parents didn't have a lot of money. The country was coming out of the Depression. They went to the Elks for advice and how they could do anything for me. Well, they got people or doctors to work on me pro bono, and with bindings and braces, they straightened my feet out enough to walk, and I didn't walk until I was over 2 years old. But they did it for nothing. And since that time, I've been indebted to the Elks for what they did for me. And I always wanted to give back, and that's why I'm an Elk today. I know that without them, I would never be able to ride a bicycle, play sports, drive a car, join the Navy, serve on a submarine. Right? And this old building, to me, has a lot of, I feel a lot of heart for it. And I know that I would like probably for everything to stay the same, but nothing stays the same. As you can see around New Brunswick, it's all changing. Everything's changing. And I know that we'll have a nice new lodge there that we can serve this community the way we always have. And I'm just looking forward to it. I may not live to see this project completed, but it's not about me. It's about the members, the younger people who have worked so hard to keep this lodge going, and the future membership who will continue on for hopefully another 100 years or so. And I just think we need to go forward with this project so that the building will be there. It will be beautiful. We'll have an efficient lodge there to serve the community, as I said. And that's it. If you'd like to see this picture, I will pass it around. If not, I'd like to see it. And this is me. There's that little guy who looks like he had a bowl haircut.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank you so very much for allowing me to speak on behalf of our lodge.
Stay strong.
Anyone else? Mr. Grado.
I'm sorry?
Good evening, Council. Charlie Cradaville, 143 Sedan Street.
Spell your last name.
K-R-A-T-O-V-I-S.
You swear from tell the truth and nothing but the
Yes,
truth?
sir, I do.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening. I appreciate all the comments tonight. I know 17 people spoke at the November meeting, and I thought there was a good mix of comments that night, and it's a real shame that that testimony is being ignored. I think the board really botched this situation, unfortunately, and you know, it's impossible to get those same 17 people all in the same place to give the testimony again. But I feel like people really did pour their hearts out. It's a shame that that was not part of the formal record you'd be considering. I know it's similar to what happened with the Mine Street project. I know I brought that up before, and I think that history has a way of repeating itself, and we need to learn the lessons of the past and not make the same mistakes over again. The Elks Hall has a tremendous history and many fond memories. I'm now launching into some of the same remarks I gave in November. I won't bore you with my personal memories there, but I will say I'm very grateful that the place has been made available and or rented out for events at an affordable price in the past. New Brunswick, as somebody puts on events once in a while, finding a place that's affordable to host something is really difficult, and so I hope that whatever happens here, that the Elks will continue that practice. I am, concerned about the loss of New Brunswick's rich history and this building being part of it. I think saving the historic facade is a good idea, and I hope that that can be done. I did have a couple questions that similar to the ones I asked in November. The redevelopment agency, who was it that said that the applicant should come to this board rather than getting designated as a redeveloper? I believe that was their statement at the November meeting. Maybe their counsel could respond, or...
I can't respond to that one. I don't recall it, frankly.
I don't remember that one either, but it wasn't our decision. You can ask the counsel for the applicant.
Yes. Can I get that response through you, Mr. Chair, for the counsel to the applicant? Why haven't you gotten redevelopment designation first?
Well, under the redevelopment law, it's not required to do that first. Ultimately, the redevelopment agency has the final authority in connection with the creation of the development agreement and the terms and conditions. The planning board, however, has the jurisdiction to review and ensure that the application is consistent with the redevelopment plan. Once this board hopefully approves the plan, it will then go back ultimately to the redevelopment agency, who will then say, okay, we'll now approve it. It's rather going back and forth like a bouncing ball. The redevelopment agency, it's like that. The law permits planning board first and then redevelopment.
Okay. And did the redevelopment agency, did they have conversations with the redevelopment agency where the redevelopment agency said come to the planning board first and then go to the redevelopment after?
Sorry, I'm not aware
Well,
of
there
that.
were discussions, but it's not, I mean, they are involved in the negotiations for developers agreement. I was not party to them, and, I'm not hiding anything, but it'll be disclosed, when an agreement is prepared.
Okay, yeah, I was just following up on the testimony or the responses to the questions I got in November. Appreciate some further information there. I'm very concerned that the project includes 407 units, 0 of them affordable. Is that still correct? 0 plan for any affordable housing in the project?
As far as I know, and also just pointing out that, the city is exempt from that requirement. We can't require that you develop, include affordable housing as part of this project. And the same is true, with this, all Sears development.
Okay,
The
well,
same is true with.
the Sears development.
Sears.
Yeah. I'll have to follow up afterwards. I'm going to also object to the 5-minute time limit. I don't think it's, right to do that, especially after many of us sat through lengthy presentations from both sides in this. I'll point out the floor was not opened to be able to question the witnesses prior to this public comment period. So basically, if you're giving me only 5 minutes, you're giving me 5 minutes for questioning the witnesses and making my comment, which I don't think is fair. I think the way this has been run has been erring on the side of wanting to finish early or finish soon rather than having full due diligence. And to that end, I do have to ask one more question. I want to ask, probably through you for the council, is the mayor conflicted on this? I believe he is an Elk, and does that mean that his representative should recuse?
I believe Richard Solomon is shaking his head, and I would concur. There's no conflict with the mayor. The mayor is not voting on this application. He's not participating. To the extent there's any designee on this body, they are of their own free will and will make their own decision.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I mean, most of us were appointed a long time ago before any knowledge of this project, and perhaps all of us, so I don't see a conflict there.
I think that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Was there anyone else? Okay, I think that concludes the public.
November 13th.
public comments regarding this project. A few things were raised. I'll just ask the board, some of the things that I just noted, there were a lot of comments, but some of the things which stood out were pros and cons associated with retaining the facade associated with this project, and some small things like having a traffic guard associated during the construction of this project, painting of no parking zones and things like that. One thing that we can consider are conditions associated with planning board approval of this project. And some of these seem kind of minor. The facade, of course, is like, everybody has a different view of that kind of thing. Really hard to satisfy everybody. But is there any interest in the board regarding those conditions or anything else that was raised through public comment? Again, in terms of modification of the project to add conditions to it?
I think most of the concerns as far as traffic, striping, they're all taken care of in engineering as a normal part of the process for any project that would happen with safety, with debris, and such like that. As far as the developer bearing the burden of an extra cost for someone with traffic associated with the situation that the church themselves have already created, I think that's an unfair burden to ask of the developer. They're not exasperating that issue. They're coming into an issue that is already there. And again, we can't look at what other projects have done and are doing and what's being enforced when we look at this project. I mean, they have given us good indication of how the trash is going to be handled. As far as the loading zone areas go, right now we have a situation where they're parking on the sidewalk. That is completely illegal. That's a safety hazard. And I think a loading zone, regardless of what happens, needs to be striped on that street. The loss of 3 parking spaces in the form of a meter is a small price to pay for that, in my opinion. Those are just my small opinions about things.
Mr. Chairman, were you suggesting that a condition might be the repainting of the no parking striping on the rest of Mars Avenue, for example?
It's a minor thing, and if it would, help in terms of parking for persons who visit the parish, I think it might be. It's a small thing, and I think it might be helpful. It's very small.
We'd certainly ask the applicant or the objector to address those potential conditions.
And again, other things. Another thing was raised was having a guard out there. Again, I think I agree with you in that regard. That those are things which really require the developer and the construction officials to comply with the requirements of the engineering associated with this project. So I don't think there's much we can weigh in on in that regard. Anybody else have any comments, concerns, questions? No? Okay, let's proceed then to
Thank you, Mr.
final testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. New Brunswick has a master plan for its development.
Just identify yourself, please.
I'm sorry,
for the record.
For the record, again, it's Peter V. MacArthur from Peter MacArthur Law LLC, 75 Lane Road, Fairfield, New Jersey, Suite 204. Thank you. New Brunswick has a master plan for its development, and in support of that master plan, New Brunswick has a zoning ordinance. The property, which is the subject of this application, known as the LIV at 40 Livingston Avenue, is in the C4 zone. The C4 zone has both permitted and conditional uses with standards. The applicant comes before the board as a result of an overlay for the redevelopment of New Brunswick. It does not meet any standards set for the C4 zone, either for the permitted or conditional uses. What this board has to decide is a couple of things. First of all, whether the project known as the LIV, with its increased traffic impact on the intersections of Morris Street and Livingston Avenue, New Street and Livingston Avenue, New Street and George Street, and Morris Street and George Street, as testified to by Mr. Litmornia, the Albish's expert satisfies the standards of the master plan, zoning ordinance, and redevelopment plan. I should mention I represent the objector, Albish Associates, from the New Jersey Partnership. Yes. And secondarily, this board has to consider, does this application benefit the city of New Brunswick, its residents, and the people who work here, or does it benefit the applicant? Now, if the members of this planning board, since this application began before the board on the 13th of November, have visited these intersections, there should be no doubt of the magnitude of this mixed-use 23-story project on less than an acre of land, with 407 residential units and 2,008 square feet of first floor commercial space for the George Street Co-op, will negatively impact the integrity, character, and scale of the downtown central business district, especially with New Street being a major corridor into that district, and also the Middlesex County complex, including the 2 courts. While the applicant did not utilize the proper parking standard for mixed-use buildings, it also did not consider the following items. Number 1, the impact of the off-site loading zones based on the size of the trucks which service the George Street Co-op and the Elks. Ladies and gentlemen, you may recall exhibits 1 and 2 which address that issue. The other thing about the loading zones is they did not address the impact of putting the zone in the street, what the impact would be to the NB downtown redevelopment plan. Second, the exiting and entering of their proposed parking garage onto the 24-foot wide, one-way Morris Street by the residents of 407 apartments, the customers of the George Street Co-op and the patrons of the Elks. Third, the provisions for parking for the visitors of the residential apartments has never been addressed. Fourth, provisions for the attendees of the banquet hall of the Elks, which presently has 49 parking spaces, with only 12 provided in the applicant's plan, despite its application showing an excess of 226 seats per the first floor plan prepared by Mr. Johnson and Exhibit A6. Fifth, the parking needs of Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church, which services 3,500 families and has no parking on Moore Street, except for its access to the SOCAM parking garage. Sixth, the church's 800 children in its Confraternity of Christian Doctrine program, the CCD, for which the drop-off is in the middle of one-way Moore Street. Seventh, the entrance and exit to the SOCAM parking garage with its 840 spaces also on one-way Moore Street. The parking needs, eighth, the parking needs of the art gallery and the event space on Moore Street. Ninth, the absence of parking for the 7-Eleven, which appears at the foot of Moore Street at its intersection with George Street. 10th, the entry and exit of the parking garage of the Standard onto New Street. 11th, the entry and exit of the Heldridge Hotel residential tower onto New Street. 12th, we had an exhibit, Mr. Chairman, 010, which showed the extension of the loading zone back towards the intersection of New Street and Livingston Avenue, and how close that was, and the dangerous condition it creates with motorists making a right-hand turn from Livingston Avenue onto New Street. And then once they get there, they're going to have to then merge into the fast lane of traffic to avoid striking the vehicle. This clearly overdeveloped application benefits the developer alone, allowing them to maximize the number of apartments they can build. It does not benefit the city of New Brunswick or its residents, and especially those using Livingston Avenue, Morris Street, New Street, or George Street. For all these reasons, this application should be denied. Mr. Chairman, I kept my comments brief tonight. I wanted to offer to the board that I prepared a written summation as well, which embellishes the points that I made tonight. I can make it available. I have someone here, copies for all board members.
I would object to that, Mr. Chairman, for the following reasons. First of all, the board is doing, Mr. MacArthur is asking the board to consider something in writing, which you're just going to get right now. They've already received the information directly from the mouth of Mr. MacArthur. I don't know of any basis for a written summation other than what came out during his verbal summation. So, I mean, if you want it, there's nothing, I don't really care. I just think it's a waste of your time and energy. But it's up to you and Mr. Solomon.
It's not a waste of time for the citizens of New Brunswick.
I mean, I don't have a problem with being part of the record, but the same thing, as you indicated, that's not something that we're going to take up and consider right now. It's just, we've heard you state this, and we'll take that into consideration as part of our
All right.
action.
So then, may I make this part of the record then, sir?
Yes.
Okay. I have copies from the board, Mr. Solomon.
So you put pressure on me because, half of what he just said, I've got nothing left to do. But I will honor that commitment. We get 30 seconds. We have devoted a lot of time here tonight to the Elks, and they deserve every second and every minute. But you also have to look at what is going to come here for New Brunswick in the skyline. I'm not that old. My grandmother, blessed memory, used to tell me when Livingston Avenue was a dirt road. And I was born and raised in the city, and I can tell you how it's changed longer than most people here, except several other individuals. And this city is a great city then, it's a better city now. I don't think...
You don't live here now. You don't know.
Thank you.
Can I have a little... Did I bother you when you spoke?
I
Excuse me, when you gesticulated?
I apologize to you, my friend.
I'm well versed in the city at the present time. This is a permitted use via a redevelopment prepared by and created by the City of New Brunswick Redevelopment Authority. It is permitted. There was no objection. There was no litigation. No one objected to its imposition on the city. To say now that there's a benefit analysis just doesn't work. This application is consistent in all respects with the redevelopment, with the exception of 3 to 4 minor deviations. That's what they are. Mr. MacArthur suggests, well, you've got to show negative impact, positive. No, you don't. This is a planning board permitted function. And we have satisfied it through our professionals that this is what works, and it does work. The traffic works, the parking works. Now, with all respect to the church, I remember before it was a church, it was a Jewish synagogue, history. We are not, the applicant, responsible for the dumpsters on Morris Street, photographs. We're not responsible for the parking and for the requirements of the church. And God bless them, they are successful, they have a big congregation. We are not responsible for that. We are not impacting on that. With regard to the one delivery a week at the co-op, that takes maybe an hour. Is that an issue? We don't see it. We are going to remedy the issue rather than have trucks drive up on that concrete sidewalk, break the sidewalk, and create other issues. The case law that I know Mr. Solomon knows, and I'm going to be very brief, it's called Lionel Appliances, and the second case of Dunkin' Donuts. You may get your coffee there, Dunkin' Donuts versus North Brunswick. That case clearly, and it's still good law, says that applicants are not responsible for the existing conditions of traffic. They should be responsible to a certain extent pro rata if it can be remediated. If there was a striping, signalization, the applicant could be asked to provide its pro rata share. But the existing problems that Mr. MacArthur's client put up in the beautiful photo boards, that just doesn't work here, ladies and gentlemen. That is not the responsibility of any applicant. Okay, those are conditions which exist. We think we will ameliorate them in condition with the use of this building. We think this will be an absolutely beautiful addition to what now is a beautiful skyline. of this city. Again, we have no obligation to show negative, positive impact. We have professionals, with all respect to Mr. MacArthur, I don't want to criticize his experts. You may have remembered he brought in two. His planner, Mr. Warnia, in fact agreed that we satisfied certain criteria. I read the transcript, page 118, and Mr. MacArthur said, well, did they satisfy the criteria? And the Warnia says, yeah, okay. And then we had the engineer, Mr. Green. Oh, all of this water and runoff is going on in Mr. Justice's property. There's only one problem. His analysis was today. His analysis was the existing Elks building and sheet runoff, not an analysis of what the building, the live building, will do. So I made a commitment. You've all spent a lot of time, and I thank you. And I just ask that you positively consider this application. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, can we read the
Conditions?
Yeah, the conditions that would be associated with this.
Sure, thank you. All right, so should the board act favorably, the following conditions would apply. Compliance with the terms of the city engineering report dated November 13th, 2023. Submission of all necessary easements and/or cross-access agreements for review and approval by the board attorney and city engineer prior to filing of same. A performance bond, payment of site performance bond in an amount reviewed and approved by the city engineer. Submission of a site inspection escrow deposit for engineering inspection fees in an amount calculated pursuant to Title 16.24.160. Water and sewer connection fees, payment of all water and sewer connection fees pursuant to Titles 13.04 and 13.08. Issuance of a road opening permit from the city engineer if required. Compliance with the terms of the Big No Planning Report dated November 9th, 2023. Payment of a pre-developer fee, if applicable, to the city of New Brunswick. Mandatory monetary contribution to city tree fund, if applicable. Planning review escrow funded for all anticipated post-approval reviews. Payment of all other fees due to the city of New Brunswick related to development or use of this project. Payment of all outstanding taxes, water and sewer fees. Middlesex County Planning Board approval or waiver. DNR Canal Commission approval, waiver, or exemption. Freehold Soil Conservation District approval or waiver. Submit engineering site plan to comply with any changes required by the planning or engineering memos or plan amendments offered at the hearing. Submit architectural plans to comply with any changes required by the planning or engineering memos or plan amendments offered at the hearing. Execution of a Title 39 parking enforcement agreement. All utilities and site improvements to be maintained by the applicant at their sole expense. All on-site utilities to be constructed underground. All temporary encroachments into the public right-of-way shall require city council approval. All construction staging shall be done on-site unless an encroachment allowing into the public right-of-way is approved by city council. Streets shall be kept clean of sediment and debris. The applicant shall cause the streets to be cleaned if directed to do so by the Director of Public Works. Tracking pads shall be installed at all construction exits. Replacement of damaged streets, curbs, and sidewalks as per the direction of the city engineer. And Mr. Stahl, please correct me if I've missed anything here. For variances, I have one for loading area. I have design waivers for driveway width and for landscape planting requirement. And I have an additional thing here for loading space in the right-of-way subject to city council approval. Are there any other variants or deviations that I need to flag here, Mr. Stahl?
Yes, that's correct, Mr.
Thank you.
Can I just add again this very minor condition that the developer, also the applicant also include, painting of no parking zones, and if there, I don't know if there's how you can do that, but exactly can that be built into this also?
Could you get prorated share?
Or you talk about the length of our street, or only the part that goes into the building?
Did you repeat that?
Dan, did you get the width? I'm sorry. We get the width of the driveway at the entrance to the...
I have here driveway width.
Yeah, I heard that.
Are you suggesting that condition be added that the applicant be responsible for repainting the no parking zone.
Yes.
What we have referred to as the left side of Morris Street.
Is it only the side that you'd be, on the left side as you're driving down the one?
Right, so the right-hand side is the one with the parking meters, and we describe the left-hand side as the side where the project is, where the church is, and where the drop-off is, and that's a no parking area, and I believe there was testimony that the no parking striping, the yellow striping as it is gone.
Visible.
So you're suggesting a condition be that the applicant could fix that striping,
Correct.
reinstall it if it were, as it
Yes.
were. Certainly the one time.
One time.
Yeah. As a condition of applicant approval.
Yeah.
You're proposing that as an additional condition.
Are we agreeing to that?
Just to repaint the existing, right?
Yeah, yes, yeah, one time. Yeah.
So it's a redevelopment project in a redevelopment zone, one deviation and 3 design waivers, is that accurate?
Sounds right.
Along with the conditions as stated by Mr. Dominguez, the additional condition as stated by the Vice Chair.
I make a motion to approve based on the conditions stated by Dan and enunciated by our board attorney.
I'll second that.
Who's that?
Are you?
Thank you. Okay, Yulita Checo,
Yes.
Carlina Menendez,
Yes.
Suzanne Sikora Ludwig,
Yes.
Anthony Camioni,
Yes.
Diana Lopez,
Yes.
Joshua Vieth,
Yes.
Bob Hardico.
Yes.
All right?
Hey, Jeremy, I'll get you a copy of the
Get
transcript.
ready for your bite, your rear end.